Sorry, Nick, Nick calling me back in, and it gets me all weird, hot, and bothered. Convincing.
Yeah, we were thrown by that last week.
I know.
Nick to count us send us out.
What happened?
Really threw us
How do we know when to go? Well, it's good to be missed. I appreciate that.
But we are back. Convincing Idiots back from break. You heard, I don't know what you heard. You heard music, I'm assuming. Or just, you could have heard Brian just yelling into the microphone for a good 30 seconds. I don't know.
He screams the F word sometimes.
Yeah. Scolding you guys
in his
for
sleep.
Poor life choices. Just yelling at you guys constantly. Yeah.
I need it, actually.
Yeah.
If you could pretty much do that once a day.
I only act out this way because I desire structure. I need someone to keep me on the level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And who better than Millennial Santa?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. Yo. That's right.
Yo. All right. So my rivalry, I was thinking about it. Well, I have a couple. They're not real.
They're not real rivalries?
Well, I don't know. Like one is Shaquille O'Neal in the English language. I think that has been going on for many, many years.
Yep.
So it's in sports. And so, no, actually my main rivalry I had was Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
we're not looking at, it might not be a specifically sport or team-wise, but the three fights they had, that rivalry in and outside the ring itself, to me, that you don't get much better than that.
Now, what privy to me to what is the outside the ring stuff?
Just the jaw jacking. I mean,
Okay.
there was a lot of. It was almost to the level of professional wrestling. Granted, that's actually where Muhammad Ali kind of got his gab, style. His talking. He was a huge fan of professional wrestling, so that's how he decided. You know what? To get people in the fights that I want and to get the publicity that I need, he started talking like a professional wrestler, and and all these other guys like Joe Frazier wasn't used to it. They were used to just you sign the match, you go to the weigh-in, you look at each other angry, you fight. Muhammad Ali brought in this whole new dynamic of just talking shit until they're like super pissed at him for real, where it's beyond a paid fight. They want to go in and kick his ass, and in turn they couldn't, so it made me more. But that's where Joe Frazier comes in, as that is somebody that actually could take Ali one-on-one, and he got him in one fight. Am I right, Brian? Ali beat him 2 out of 3, right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
But yeah. So really, you could put a lot of people against Ali in that sense of rivalries, but I think Joe Frazier is that number one rivalry. So that's my number one.
Yeah.
And I don't have any stats. If I would have, if I cared about life like Brian does, I would have written something down. But
Well, it sounds to me like Millennial Santa needs to scream the F word at you a couple more times just to snap you into shape.
I was busy getting bourbon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you're right. Ali at the time, you're right. He was ahead of his time in that respect. He was smart enough to know that you're going to, watch the fight to root for me or against me. But as long as I get the fights that I want,
to market himself.
And we get the promos and everything like that. And yeah, but he was pretty relentless. He questioned people's intelligence and looks and all kinds of stuff back then. So it was really not something that people were used to in the boxing world. That's for sure.
When he fought George Foreman in Manila, the shit he was talking with him, once again, this is coming from Ali. He was calling him a monkey and a gorilla.
Yeah.
And he would carry around a rubber gorilla saying it was George Foreman. Yeah. And Foreman, and this was before Foreman, became a preacher and then came back to boxing. And was the oldest heavyweight champion ever. But
had 18 kids named George also.
Right. But but before that, he was just an angry militant guy. And so, he, in many documentaries, he said, he was just pissing me off. There was nothing I could do. I didn't say things. I didn't talk much back then, so I could do nothing but just get more angry and angry. So when the fight happens, that's where I've heard the term rope-a-dope, where Ali would sit back on the ropes and just get punched, put his guard up and just get punched. And he's letting the other fighter wear himself out by punching, the ribs and the head and stuff. I mean, probably didn't do a whole lot for his mental stability later, but yeah, Foreman's saying he's laying up against the ropes. Ali's just wailing into him. And Ali looks up to him, because, they can hear each other. So Ali looks up and says, "Is that all you got?" And Foreman's like, "Yeah, that's all I got." He said that to him. Then that's when Ali just came in and just unleashed on him. And, But so.
Damn.
But yeah, if you ever get a chance to, you could, on YouTube, you can go best of, where, like I watched the other night, I watched best of Mike Tyson. And they just did a compilation of just Tyson kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's just, but to see a compilation of Ali, the speed of that man's hands was insane, in his prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my rivalry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he definitely laid the foundation, Ali, and then that's sort of that carried on afterwards, and boxing and certainly MMA and all that stuff. So it's just very commonplace anymore.
Probably a lot of, you see NBA players and baseball players and basketball, a lot of them, talk shit now. And now with Twitter, they have that capability of talking shit, and just in a different form.
Yeah.
Now we have YouTubers boxing, talking shit to hockey players and talking shit to other YouTubers. But
that's the thing is Ali laid that work, and like Brian said, he laid that groundwork and made it acceptable for professional athletes, not just professional wrestlers, to talk shit and sell fights and sell games and to sell matches.
Yeah.
Before that, you didn't hear Fuzzy Zeller or Lee Trevino talk shit. They're golfers. The joke makes more sense.
I knew what he was talking about. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, if they don't know golf, that reference means shit to them.
Did you read those names on a comic strip on a piece of bubble gum?
I Bazooka Joe.
You sure it wasn't Archie?
All right, so we got boxing, we got basketball. Nick, now you're a big hockey fan. Do you have any hockey rivalries?
Oh yeah. I think for me, growing up when I did in the 90s, the big rivalry in hockey was the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche. These were two incredibly aggressive teams. Now, in this time, we're talking mid to late 90s, 95, 96, 97. The Detroit Red Wings were the Bulls of that time. They were basically winning pretty close to every year. There was a couple back-to-back cups there, but they were always in it. They went to the playoffs. I think the streak ended at 24, 25 straight seasons in a row. But the Red Wings were a powerhouse. They were winning all the time. And the Colorado Avalanche were a newly relocated team. They used to be the Quebec Nordiques, moved to Colorado, and they had the star-studded team.
What a much cooler fucking name.
The Quebec Nordiques? Yeah,
that's a much cooler name than the fucking Avalanche.
Yeah, they're trying to get them back.
Quebec. Hold on, say it again.
The Quebec Nordiques. Yeah.
Nordiques. I like it.
Yeah, with a Q. Nordiques.
Oh,
Quebec.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, the Avs at that time had developed, and they had all these great up and coming superstars. You guys, I'm sure, probably heard of Patrick Waugh. He was somewhat newly acquired by the Avs at this time, star-studded goalie. But these were two teams, and in that time, hockey was still a very, very physical game. A lot of that's kind of left the game. It's kind of has an eye more towards speed and skill, what with all the concussions and head trauma.
You saying they became a bunch of pussies?
I'm saying they play hockey now. But back then, along with the hockey, there was a lot of face punching. And
fucking Donnybrook.
The Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche had no lack of guys that were willing to feed each other fist sandwiches. So There was a couple good line clearing brawls. Many different great meetings of those two teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that was one for me that really stuck out. There was a lot of good fights. I mean, everybody was involved. Everybody. I mean, that full-on headhunting. Goalies would fight each other the whole 9 yards. So that was a big one for me.
Hold on.
In hockey.
Hold on. The goalies fought each other.
Yes. It's happened. They
meet,
look
they
down
meet
at
in
each
the
other. They meet in the middle. They charge at each other.
Well,
it's happened. It doesn't happen a lot,
that.
but it has happened. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google that shit.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I think as recently as I want to say the last one was maybe 2 to 3 years ago in the Battle of Alberta between the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames. There was a heated game between those two. Those two teams do not like each other, the two Alberta teams. And those two goalies fought each other in the middle of the ice. That was. I
mean, because you got to think, you have a lot of time to skate.
Oh yeah. Oh, and they charge
to that other guy.
yeah, they're going.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get them. What do you want to do? You just wait. I'm gonna give you a fist sandwich, like Nick says.
It's a fist sandwich. Yeah.
Fist sandwich. Yeah.
A fist
like
sandwich. Yeah. The filet-o fist.
Filet-o fist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's good.
I like that.
Yeah, I've never watched one full hockey game my entire life.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
You know what? Here's the. Actually, this should be Nick suggesting this, but I don't watch it on TV. Like you, Brian, if it's on, I'm flipping through. I'll stop for a few minutes, watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But to see it live is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So when COVID's over, when we're able to get out and going,
yeah,
the three of us will go to a hockey game. Podcast trip.
Yeah, you've never been to a live game in Cleveland for the Monsters, or the Lumberjacks, or the Barons, or anything over the years?
Yeah, Allie's a fan. So actually, if we do a date night or something like that, she would be very interested, and we'd maybe, talked about maybe when we're able to, maybe we do a road trip to Columbus. That'd be fun too. A Columbus trip and go to a game or something like that. I mean, she would like that. Matter of fact, I've got her memorabilia for past gifts and stuff like that. Columbus, Jacks. So
yeah.
Blue Jackets. I said Jacks. See, I don't even know the damn name.
Now there was a Lumberjacks, the Cleveland Lumberjacks.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking. Cleveland Jacks.
Yeah,
right.
we had the Cleveland Lumberjacks.
Yeah.
Yep. Buzz.
Yeah. I was third row when the Monsters won the Calder Cup, right?
Calder Cup. Yep. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I was third row in that game. That was a lot of fun. That was something else. So
I was up in the nosebleeds.
Nick was up in the nosebleed.
Dean snuck off to go have a dart with a friend, and they weaseled their way down to the third fucking row on the glass, and I was up in the middle. But it was still cool. Yeah,
it was hilarious. I took Peyton to her first concert up in Cleveland. I had no idea that game was going on, and thank God I had bought the pre-parking pass. So we parked in a lot right across the street from the queue up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the heck is going on? I had no idea. And then we left the concert at the House of Blues over there. It was just getting on. It was kind of mayhem up there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we got.
Who'd you go see? Who was playing in Cleveland that night?
I took them to go see The Neighborhood. Peyton and her friend. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were good.
Okay. Is it a boy band?
No, it was like an
indie band.
Yeah, kind of like a rock band. It was good. Yeah. I was back in the dad area. You have those the kids are, and you have the dads on the outskirts in there having a beer by the bar, kind of hanging out. Yeah. So I definitely, okay, so I got a football one here. Cowboys and 49ers.
Yeah.
So I know Nick, you're a big Cowboys fan.
Yeah. Born and raised a Cowboys fan. Yeah, and then I know we always had to go through them in the NFC Championship to get to the Super Bowl. It was, in those times, Bulls, Red Wings, Cowboys, we were always there. Everybody who wasn't a Cowboys fan hated them because they were sick of seeing them there. But and then Jerry Rice and the Niners and Joe Montana. Was there Steve Young at that time?
That was Steve Young at that point.
Young. Yeah.
So for me as a kid, go ahead.
I hated the 49ers. In that rivalry, I hated the 49ers more.
Yeah.
That's you're a good man, but It kind of started in the 70s. They
Wow.
played each other in the playoffs.
I'm not used to hearing that. That's weird. Threw me off there.
Yeah.
They played each other twice in the 70s, 70 and 71 in the NFC Championship game then. That's Craig Morton and Roger Staubach era for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys won both of those. And then the Cowboys beat them again in the 72 divisional playoffs. And you go back and they have those NFL lives, documentaries. It's pretty cool. There's one on Roger Staubach. It's pretty good. But one of his teams that he hated was the 49ers back then. He talked about a game where they were laughing at the Cowboys. They were down by 14 and, ticked off Roger. He came in, they won the game and all this stuff. And so that rivalry kind of resurrected 1980 in the NFC Championship game, the whole catch thing. So as a kid, I'm all excited as a Cowboys fan. I watched that game on television when Joe Montana to Dwight Clark, beat Dallas to go into the Super Bowl. And, Dallas began their regression for years in the 80s. They had a couple more runs at the championship. That was it. But then Dallas went all the way down the 80s. Obviously, the 49ers were the team of the 80s, with Joe Montana and Rice and all that. They won 6 Super Bowls, 5, excuse me. They're tied with Dallas for the third most, 5 each, but they won 4 of their Super Bowls in the 80s. And finally, Dallas.
Look at the run. Look at the run that they had, though. I mean, how many teams can say that they were that consistently good? Not only that consistently good,
mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the 49ers, but dropping your career, your franchise quarterback, going with Young and him picking up where he left off.
Yeah,
you know
Steve Young, a legend in his own right.
When else does that happen?
It was pretty rare. I mean, you got the Patriots currently, but you're right.
Yeah.
The 49ers were consistently good through the 80s. They were winning Super Bowls and the playoffs virtually every year. And then you're right. It stayed with Young and a lot of core players there. And then, but Dallas came on with the triplets with Aikman, Smith, Irvin, and the 49ers they had a hard time getting past Dallas. So for me to see those Dallas finally get their due against San Francisco, that was a pretty big deal. So they played each other in the NFC Championship 3 times in a row in the 90s, 91, 92, 92, 3, 4, I think it was. And Dallas won the first 2, won the Super Bowl. 49ers beat Dallas, and then Dallas beat the 49ers in the following year in the divisional playoff, and then won their last Super Bowl. Then that was it. And then both teams have not been in the playoffs together, since it's been several years. But those 70s and the 90s were, definitely the 90s for me was a great rivalry. Go ahead.
Rarely do you get the chance to slay the dragon like that and come
That's
back
right.
and actually kind of beat the team that, we kind of, what I guess the Bulls did with the Pistons, but, the Cowboys with the Niners like that. I mean, rarely do you get the chance to kind of exact your revenge against the team that has been, right there with you. Rarely do you get the chance to come back and make that right and see revenge in that way.
I'm holding in my hand here the 1995 Madden 95 instruction booklet. You can see Dallas San Fran on the cover here.
Move it over to just a little bit to the other side of your face because it's cutting off for me there.
Sorry.
Okay. Yep.
Dallas San Fran on the cover. That was the big rivalry back then.
He could see it. He just wanted you to cover up your face.
Thank you. Yeah, that's probably good.
I would never do that. Millennial Sans has been too good to me.
So that's my top. So, did you have any other rivalries you want to call out?
Well, I mean, the obvious. Being a Browns fan.
Cleveland Browns.
Browns fan. Browns Steelers. I don't have the stats that Brian does, year by year.
You don't want to see stats on that, I don't think.
But back in the day, it was a rivalry. I mean, like if you would just go on what it is now, it is no rivalry. There is no rivalry there.
Right.
Hopefully someday we can, get it back up there. But it's not a rivalry now. But back in the 80s, yeah, I mean it was a huge rivalry. I mean both those teams, talking about the physicality that you were talking about, the hockey.
Yeah,
those guys are kicking each other's asses, every time they played each other, get fights and the whole deal. I mean, yeah, it was a rivalry at one point.
Yeah, you're right. The 70s and 80s, I mean, those two teams were very physical. You're right. They did, did not like each other. And you go
Right.
back and see different. Yeah, it was a different
You're
game.
an hour away, 45 minutes away. You
Yep.
have that close. Not only, and I think that's what also helps a rivalry is not just the teams, but their fan bases also.
Mm-hmm.
Talking shit with each other and going back and forth. I think that helps the rivalry tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I mean, as Cleveland continues to progress, I mean, you may see that even again this season. The next game they'll play each other is
It's the last game of the season.
Means a lot more to both teams than probably since they played in the playoffs in 2007, I think it was. But so that's actually, you brought up a good point there, D. So rivalries. So it means something to different people. So you mentioned sometimes it's the proximity of the teams and the fan base. You get to see each other a lot.
Yeah.
What else kind of makes up a good rivalry in your opinions?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not a hatred thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a cleverness and a fun idea to a rivalry, at least based upon fans. Like, for example, my old neighbor, Terry, he was from Pittsburgh, and obviously Steelers fan. So every year we had a friendly wager. So there are pictures out there because I bet for the Browns, so I would lose every time. And there's some humiliating pictures out there. And when I say humiliating, it's me dressed in Steelers gear.
Not what. There's other pictures of you that are humiliating, but you don't consider them humiliating.
No. Proud of those.
Just the Steelers ones are bad.
We'll save those for the underwear episode.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one. No, but yeah, I would have to dress up in Steelers gear and stuff. For example, I don't know how he did it, but I live in a 2-story house, and he climbed up on my roof and tied a giant Steelers banner onto my chimney.
That's good.
I didn't know how to get it down. I didn't even know how to get somebody back to that.
It's still there today.
So what I did was I wrote into the local newspaper in the wanted, help wanted, one of those sections, and saying that I'm Terry professing my love for the Browns. So that was our fun back and forth. And that was the rivalry that him and I had based upon the rivalry of the two teams. And so to me, a rivalry isn't just the teams. It's everything that encompasses it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that I as a diehard Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I have two types of rivalries. There's the one half of my brain that says, yes, what Dean says, that is the fun part, right? So one of the oldest rivalries in all of hockey, it probably is the oldest rivalry in all of hockey, is Toronto and Montreal. It predates the National Hockey League itself. It goes back to when they were just the Toronto Blue Shirts and the Montreal Maroons. I mean, before they even had real team names. So that kind of is one of those.
It was even before the game. Like just two Canadian guys just walked out into a field and just yelled at each other.
It was just shitty. There was no rules. It was just, they just went at it.
Spitting teeth.
But so that's fun. And I know a lot of Montreal fans that it's that kind of I almost want to call it a kinship, to where you kind of bond over that.
Sure.
We're giving each other shit. And it's a special date on the calendar when the Habs play the Leafs, and it's, you look out for that, and you can't wait to see that person to talk shit to him again, or, what about this goal, or, oh, how about that, And then there's the other side of me that is the blind rage hatred rivalry, which is what I have for the Boston Bruins and the entire city of Boston, and therefore all their sports teams, because I hate their hockey team so bad.
Wow.
That's a different one. That's the kind where I've destroyed my own property because of them and things like that, and in rage. There's different kinds. That's
what sort of property did you destroy?
Well, I shouldn't say property. So, there's property.
He got mad and just beat the shit out of his car.
I went in my garage and beat the shit out of a bunch of things in there. Yeah, there's things all throughout my garage with dents and breaks and cracks, and yeah, that was the infamous.
I thought that was from Robin's driving.
Huh. No, that was all me. Yeah,
All
that
right.
was from the colossal Game 7 meltdown where we dropped 3 goals to lose the lead and eventually lose in overtime. I don't want to relive that again. But I hate the Boston Bruins, and I, by association, I root against all Boston teams. I root against the city in general. But I despise the Bruins. With the Canadians, it's a little more like, yeah, old rivalry, but I at least appreciate there's something about that matchup that is kind of a warm place in my heart. They may be very different in many ways, but they bond over the fact that, the love for their hockey team is a religion. It's a way of life. It's how you're
Sure.
brought up. It's a big deal. But I just hate the Bruins. It's just a whole different thing. It's pure hatred.
I don't think
So
I have
there's
like
two
a
types
hatred
of
like
rivalry.
that.
Yeah, you don't hate the Steelers?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you say you hate the Steelers, but no, first of all, they're too damn good to actually legitimately hate them. I mean, it sickens me how good, and it sickens me how fat Ben Roethlisberger can be and still be that fucking good. I hate. But like,
He's looking like a baseball player these days. He's a little plump. Yeah.
Yeah, but actual to beat the shit out of something out of pure anger. I don't think I have that. Maybe for Celine Dion, but that's not really sports related.
I have a new rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is it?
You don't talk about Celine that way.
Huh? Yeah.
And then during the holiday season, that's one thing I will give Montreal. They gave us Celine Dion. I appreciate that about them.
Oh boy.
The only reason I respect the movie Titanic is when she sings that stupid song, I just hope that she's on the ship when it went down.
She's not in the movie Jackass.
So my rivalries, no, you're right. I mean, there's different types of rivalry. It's the traditional games and the fan base and all that. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's those teams that made each other better. And at the end of the day, even as a fan, you have to step back and respect the other team. I mean, as much as I couldn't stand the Lakers in the 80s, I mean, you got to step back and say, I mean, these guys are just good. I mean, it's just phenomenal to watch. And we would be remiss if, now we are in Northeast Ohio, if you're listening to us out there in podcast land, we are part of probably one of the greatest rivalries of anywhere in Ohio State, Buckeyes versus the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh yeah,
yeah, go blue.
And it was unfortunate this year with did you say go blue?
I did.
Good Lord. So,
he's a Celine Dion fan. What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the game couldn't be played this year because of allegedly COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just that game around here,
They were
if
scared hiding in their dorms listening to stupid Celine Dion songs.
Didn't beat us this year.
Yeah. But it's just that's a traditional game, even though it's for a long time, in the 90s, Michigan was beating Ohio State virtually every year until the late 90s, and finally we overtook them. But Ohio State's been dominating that for so long. But just that tradition, the fun, and it's just it's almost ingrained in you that you don't like Michigan as being from typically. So, but it's a fun tradition and all that. You just don't like Michigan. Brian, you root against them, but
that's the difference, though. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, I've been to Pittsburgh. It's a cool town.
Oh yeah,
that city's pretty kick-ass.
Sure.
I've been to the state of Michigan.
You've been to Ann Arbor?
No. We stopped in Detroit just so I could vomit, and that's not a joke. Like we were coming back from Windsor, and I was sick, so we pulled off, and it happened to be in Detroit, and everything was like caged up because they wouldn't let anybody inside anywhere. McDonald's, Burger King, didn't matter. Everything was caged up. So I ended up just vomiting on the parking lot. And then we drove away, and I realized I just made Michigan a little bit better.
Yeah, but that's like saying that you don't like Ohio because you've been to Cleveland, and it's gross.
I like Cleveland.
Ann Arbor's gorgeous. Ann Arbor's beautiful. I'm just saying. Detroit's not Ann Arbor.
All right, I've never been to Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Supposed to be nice. All right. So
Buckeyes wouldn't know because Michigan won't let them up there to play. Too scared. Too fucking scared.
All right, so I think before we talk about Celine Dion again or something like that.
Let's do a whole podcast.
You leave Ann Arbor and Celine Dion alone.
Yeah. But I think
Throw up on both of them.
I think we all tend to agree that the best rivalries are, make each other better. It's the tradition, the fun with the fan bases and stuff
Nick and
like
Dean.
that.
That's why our rivalry's no good. I can't make you better, no matter how hard I try. It's just not happening.
Well, you're right about that. It would take a real special son of a bitch, and you're not that special.
Something to aspire to, Nick.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep
It's
trying.
good to have goals.
Yeah,
Bring
it's like
me up, Nick. Bring me up.
My heart will go on, I guess.
It's like a rivalry, Dean and good taste. It's just those two have been battling it out for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so it's a good time to wrap this one up here, guys. Good conversation. Nick, let's remind people where they can find us.
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to drop us a line at convincingidiots@gmail.com if you would like to give us any feedback, any show topics, anything like that. Please be sure to give us a follow on Instagram. We are at convincing_idiots. Also follow us on Twitter. We are on that one at convincingIdiot singular. And be sure to go check out our YouTube page. That's Convincing Idiots as well. Subscribe, please tell your friends, and also we have a Facebook group and a Facebook page that is also under Convincing Idiots. So please go give us a like, tell your friends, and feel free to comment on any of those platforms. Let us know what you think.
And I want to implore you guys, at Apple Podcast, when you like and subscribe to us. Now, please, if you like and subscribe and comment's huge, because the more you like and subscribe and comment, especially. The higher we are in this, when people go to find us, when they search, we're going to come up a little bit higher if, the more likes and the more comments we have. So I'm just saying, go on Apple Podcasts, rate, review, do the whole deal.
Yeah, we appreciate the support.
Yep.
Dean, you want to take us out?
Yeah, bye. No.
Deuces.
I practice that all day.
What's next? How about that? What are we doing next?
Well, next week's going to be really special. I don't know if I want to say it because it's so special.
Means so Dean does not know what we're doing next, even though we're going to do it again in 2 minutes from now.
Superhero thing.
Superhero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is special. It is special.
It is special.
He was right.
My apologies. I do. I didn't know that. I thought you meant next week when we record. Okay.
I think we're still figuring that out. We have a lot of good topic suggestions.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought you were put me on the spot of choosing. I'm like, should I do this now?
Awkward farts in public is the next one. Yeah.
Celine, should we allow her to continue or drown in the Titanic?
Well, you can't allow anything.
Yeah.
It's happening. She's a force in nature, Brian. Damn it.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
If old age and wrinkling is a force of nature,
she's aging wonderfully.
Speaking of,
my God,
Rufus my ass. All right, so. Next podcast we're going to do, we are going back to it. We took a little break for it because Nick had to go sit on old men's laps, or I don't know what he did, but so he wasn't here.
It's typically where I am when you don't see me.
That's true.
That's what I'm doing.
Actually, you don't see who he's sitting on right now. Anyway, no, we are going to go back to the superhero bracket. I believe it is the Flash against Captain Marvel.
That is correct.
If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and look for that. So when we come back, that's what you'll hear, and it's going to be awesome.
Okay.
So until then, for Convincing Idiots, I'm Dean.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brian.
Have you been convinced?
Thank you.
I like the eyebrow.